All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar, Maximizing the Potential of Your Live Auction Items. This webinar is put on by Winspire and Greater Giving. So thanks to all of you who are joining us here today. We're going to go ahead and get started. Just a few housekeeping items. All attendees will be on mute throughout the broadcast. Webinar slides will not be distributed, but a video version will be sent out via an email with a recording of the audio and the slides. If you have any questions, we do want to hear them. You can type them in the Q&A section on the GoToMeeting panel where it says questions, and we'll be answering some of them throughout the broadcast, but we'll be reserving the actual answers to them during the Q&A session at the very end of the webinar. So definitely stick around. The Q&A is always packed with great information. So during the webinar, you can feel free to live tweet us at WinspireMe or at Greater Giving using the hashtag MaximizeLiveAuction. Today, I'd like to welcome our guest, Tracey Lorts, the Community Marketing Manager at Greater Giving. Welcome, Tracey.
Thanks, Ian.
And my name is Ian Lauth. I'm the Creative Director here at Winspire. And Tracey and I have been working on this webinar for the last couple weeks, and we're really excited to share with you guys everything that we've been putting together. Definitely stick around because at the end of the webinar we have some free gifts and special offers for those of you who showed up today and joined us for the live webinar. Specifically, we're going to be giving you a list of 400 amazing auction item ideas in terms of a PDF that we're going to be handing out at the end of the webinar, so definitely stick around. Just a little information on Winspire. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Winspire puts together travel packages for nonprofits to use in their fundraising auctions, specifically no-risk travel packages. So far, we've raised over $43 million for nonprofit causes since we started in 2008, and we've supported over 31,000 events globally throughout North America. And so far, we've booked over 70,000 satisfied winning bidders. So those are some big numbers. We love what we do, and we hope to keep doing it. So that's what Winspire's been up to.
Yeah, and thanks so much, Ian. Again, I'm Tracey with Greater Giving, and just a little bit about who Greater Giving is. We have over 15 years of experience providing nonprofits and schools with technology and credit card processing solutions to help run fundraising events. We started as the company Auction Pay back in 2002. Our products have been used in over 50,000 fundraising campaigns, and I'm sure it's probably well over that number by now, especially since it's busy auction season. And we've also assisted our clients in processing over $4 billion in donations going straight to their causes. We are also PCI Level 1 compliant, which means that all of your donors' personal credit card data is kept at the highest level of security possible from the time it enters our system through the time that it's reconciled with their bank. We have a variety of different product offerings, and you can see them here. Just really quickly, I'll just say that our major package is our Greater Giving Event Suite, which includes our three most commonly used products, Auction Pay, our event software online, and online payments. And you also have the option to add on online bidding. Be sure that you stay around till the end of the webinar because we do have a special offer coming if you are new to Greater Giving and interested in purchasing an event package. And like Ian mentioned, we work together with Winspire to provide auction booster packages to all of our clients and assist them with adding some great, exciting no-risk travel packages to their auctions.
Great, thanks for that, Tracey. So today, the reason you guys all showed up here today is to learn about maximizing the potential of your live auction items. So we have 6 points that we're going to cover today. Number 1, the top 5 procurement tips for getting those auction items for your live or silent auction. How to track items and your packages before and after the event. Underwriting, which is definitely a hot topic these days. The importance of hiring an auctioneer, the live auction item order, and we're going to finish up with some of the top packages that we've seen starting out here in 2017. But before we begin, I always like to start with a poll to get some interaction with you audience members out there. I thought we'd start by asking you guys, what is your biggest challenge that you face in terms of just your live auction? You can answer multiple here, but I'm sending it out there. You should see on your screen. The options are procuring items, keeping audience attention, reaching live auction revenue goal, making a connection to your cause, or finding a benefit auctioneer? What is your biggest challenge that you've seen out of these? Again, you can select multiple. We're putting this out there to see what you guys think. We've got about half of you who voted so far. We're going to wait to see how many more we can get. I'm going to close the poll in 3, 2, 1. All right, let's close the poll and share the results. So this is no surprise. It is the biggest challenge. It usually takes the most resources of any team out there, and that is going out and getting those items. And Tracey, what do you think about this?
Not a surprise. I definitely think the top three are procuring quality items, but then also keeping audience attention and reaching your goals. Those are definitely the three that I would say were my biggest challenges when I was working in nonprofit fundraising, for sure.
Totally. Yeah. And we'll talk about those, all three of those top three here today, because that's exactly what the results we thought. Those procuring items, tons of resources it requires, but we're going to give you some tips here very shortly. So I'm going to hide these results and get back to our slides here. So let's get into it. Let's talk about our top 5 procurement tips, because that's what you guys want to hear about today. To start, and this might not be a surprise for many of you, but you're going to want to start early. When you're procuring items, you want to make sure that you give yourself at least a 6 to 9 month start, and that's at very least, right? This should be actually an ongoing process. For many of you out there, you have multiple events per year, and so, procuring items is just basically a never-ending process. But as far as, your timeline and how you should be organizing it, 9 to 12 months out, you should have the size and theme of your event decided, starting to get those budget parameters set, maybe researching sponsors, and making sure that venue is well on its way. And then about 7 to 8 months out, that's when you want to start forming a procurement committee that's specifically dedicated to acquiring those auction items. You don't want to kind of haphazard involve everyone. You really want to set a specific group of people that are going to go out and procure items. Typically, this needs to be people that have those connections, right? The people who are well connected in your community, who are motivated to go out and really start procuring these items. And that should be happening about 7 to 8 months out. Making sure you're determining the board member involvement, confirming that venue size. And then right at 6 months, man, you should be hot and heavy into your procurement process. That's when people should be knocking on doors, hitting the streets, getting out there, making sure you are developing your auction item wish list and procurement plan, which I'll talk about here in a second, and also start talking to benefit auctioneers to work your event, because they get booked up really quickly. So make sure that you're planning those guys about 6 months out. So the biggest favor you can do for yourself is make sure you start early on your procurement plan. And also, when you do go out and ask for those donations, make sure you're not just asking for one donation, one-time donation. Ask for donations again in the future, right? See if they can have kind of an ongoing process. Tell them about your future event schedule and start building that relationship with those donors. Number 2, ask donors. This is one of the biggest favors you can do yourself as a procurement committee, right? Get to know your audience and your attendees who are going to be there at the event, and get to know what they want. Find out what they are going to want to spend money on. You can send surveys out, which is one thing that we really recommend. There's plenty of free tools out there that you can use. One common one that people use is SurveyMonkey, right? You can send out a survey asking people about previous years, asking people about travel packages or experiences that they might be interested in, in your local area or nationally. And you can also take that opportunity to, ask these key constituents for donations, right? We want to know what you're going to be looking for at this event, what you're going to want to spend money on. And also, hey, if there's anything that you can donate to us at this time, that's what we're looking for. So do yourself a favor, ask your donors, get on the phones, just like you're asking for sponsorships or underwriting. Talk to them about the auction items that you're thinking about having at your event, because that's going to open up new connections and new ideas that you didn't think were there before. So make sure you're getting out there and asking your attendees and donors. Number 3, and this is a big one. This is one we love to promote, and that is the idea of a procurement party. So you have your procurement team that you've collected. You guys are set. Hopefully, depending on the size of your event and your team, can be anywhere from 5 to 15 people, maybe more than that. But you want to get them together outside, maybe the organization or the workplace, and make it fun. You want to go maybe in your home, in your living room, and maybe bust open a little Chardonnay, get some music going, make it fun, because that's what this should be, right? And what you want to start doing is creating a wish list. Once you have everyone in a room, everyone's relaxed, everyone, the juices are flowing, you just start getting up a big, those sticky pieces of paper, butcher paper that you can stick on the wall, and just start writing up ideas. No idea is too silly, right? Just write everything up, get it up there on the wall, and start that brainstorming session. Because what's going to happen is as the ideas start listing out, you're going to start to see connections, right? And once you have that list, hopefully it's nice and long, you've exhausted all of your ideas, then you're going to organize it into categories. And we recommend organizing it into 4 categories, right? You have physical items, you have unique experiences, services, and sports. And you can see some examples of here, services being cleaning, beauty, automotive, physical items being, wines, cars, leases, authentic, rings, leather goods, barbecues, those sorts of things, sports, events, right? Golf getaways, those sorts of things, unique experiences, trips, local experiences. Start categorizing them and putting them there. That way you can actually start to organize them into kind of a coherent categories and lists so that you can start to organize your thoughts for everyone. Once you're there, then what you're going to want to do is start whipping out the Rolodexes. Everyone has their smartphones on them. Everyone has their Rolodexes right there with them, right? So once you have these categories organized, that's when you're going to want to start assigning each of the line items to people in the room, right? Who do people know, right? Start listing it off. And what you're going to find is that as people start whipping out their Rolodexes, you're going to start to see people know similar folks in your community, and then you can start to form a plan of attack for going and getting each one of these items. So the idea here is you want to create some structure around building this list, getting to categories, and then getting people involved and starting the ball rolling on each one of those items. Start sending text messages, start sending emails right there from your smartphones, and when everyone in the room is doing that, you're going to really start to get some momentum and inertia towards getting these items. Start setting appointments. Again, I always like to emphasize the use of text messaging, right? It's a low impact way to get in touch with these donors, people in your Rolodex, just to set up lunch times or also just, start inquiring about, other connections that people can use. If you have the local sports team, somebody who's on the staff there, what sort of connections can they provide you? It's all about connections, right? So make sure you start the actual procurement process right there in that room with the folks that you have with you. So I've done this multiple times in the events I've been involved with, and the procurement parties are actually a ton of fun. So highly recommend doing that.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun to be able to sit down with the other members of your procurement team and just have some fun brainstorming session. Like Ian mentioned, there are no, ideas that are too outlandish or too silly, and actually you never know what someone out there that's going to be attending your event might really be interested in purchasing during your auction. So we are kind of just talking about the way that you could take the idea of items and then attach them to people, but you can also think about procuring items in the opposite direction. Think about your people first, and then identify the items that they might be able to help you in procuring. So our tip number 4 is ask your board and staff. So we like to say, who do you know? Who are you connected to? Who is my circle of influence as an individual board member or volunteer or staff member within my organization? So who are my family and coworkers? And what vacation homes do they own? Or what season tickets do they own? I know for me personally, my mom and I have season tickets to our local Broadway production. And next year, Hamilton is coming here to Portland, Oregon. We are very thrilled.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
I will not be giving up my tickets to any nonprofit. But it's just an idea of a way that you might be connected to someone, or someone may have season tickets to something, a sports team, or also someone that might be a small business owner that would be willing to donate some sort of service like Ian was mentioning as one of the categories. These connections, they could be donating live auction items, but they could also potentially be sponsors, or their business could be sponsors. So you want to be sure that you are identifying each individual board member's circle of influence, each staff member's circle of influence, and you really want to have a goal in mind that you are creating unique experiences, especially when it comes to your live auction items. You want to limit the number of live auction items, which we'll talk about in a little bit, because you want them to really be unique experiences, and you don't really want cast off items in your live auction so really you can think about it, like I mentioned, two ways. You can go items to people or people to items. Both are great ways to think about it, and a lot of times it's beneficial to do both at the same time. Think about them in both directions. So also thinking about where you're going to be procuring these items. So we talked about starting within your organization and your major supporters, your established donors that you've have a connection with that's been long-standing, and be sure that these established donors, that you have year-round communications with them, that it's not just, okay, it's the auctions in October and it's August and I'm going to come knock on your door and ask you for your vacation home again. Be sure that you're having year-round communication with these donors, because it will make them more excited to donate year after year, and you never know that they might have additional items or things that they could donate in with their package as well. And besides within your organization and your supporters, when it comes to procuring these great items for your live auction, we always recommend considering using outside vendors. There are lots of great ones out there. We work with Winspire specifically here at Greater Giving, and if you end up short on time or resources, or you want to add some wow factor to your auction, we definitely suggest adding in a great no risk travel package, because it really does kick your live auction up to the next level and add a lot of excitement for your event guests.
Totally. Let me say something there too. Because we here at Winspire, we want you to go out and procure items and do as much as you can to get really cool experiences, especially in your local area, because those are going to have a lot of impact. They're going to sell really well, but inevitably you're going to end up with holes, right? And your live auction should have the biggest, wow items that you can possibly get, and that's really where consignment travel can come into play. If you don't have a wine experience yet to Napa Valley, or you weren't able to get something to New York City, or something big, that's really where a well-placed consignment travel package can be used in your auction. And for those of you who aren't aware, it's no risk, right? So you're not paying for the item before you put it in your auction. You put it in your auction, and if it doesn't sell, you don't pay a thing. You can promote the heck out of it, use it to actually bring in attendees, but only if the item sells do you pay for the package, and only at a specific price. You keep everything above it. So consignment travel packages are just a tool in your procurement tool shed to use when it comes around to the event time.
Absolutely, Ian. And I've even seen too some live auctions that they pull a package from someone like Winspire that actually ties directly back into their event theme. So I know of an organization that just did a big Havana Nights auction, and they were actually able to get a consignment package to Havana and use it in their live auction, so it tied into their theme. So another cool way to kind of create some additional excitement around live auction packages.
And totally, and to that end too, it can be helpful when you're going out and procuring, saying, hey, we already have these other really cool experiences, can you join in the fun, right? Kind of showing that you already have the ball rolling can also be helpful in using consignment packages.
Fantastic. All right, so tip number 5, making your donation process easy. I see the little kid here. I personally hate pulling off Band-Aids. It's one of my least favorite things to do. So make sure that when you're asking someone to donate an item, that the process is as quick and painless as possible. So think through, how are you going to track these items? You want to know important information like the donor, all of their contact information, what the item is, additional identifying details about it, maybe some photos of it if it's a physical item, any restrictions. This is really important when it comes to things like vacation homes. Lots of donors want to exclude certain times of the year or certain weeks when they know that they will be traveling there, or that they have family members that will be there. So be sure that you have the ability for those donors to identify any restrictions on the package. You want to be sure that you know in advance where you're going to be tracking all of these donations amongst your committee members, and be sure that you also have a plan in place for where you're going to collect and store any physical items that someone might be donating, like a painting. Like you can see here on the left-hand side, within Greater Giving Event Software Online, you can build a complete event website. And one really awesome tool that you can build into your event website is actually an auction item donation form. And within this form, it's quick and easy for someone to donate an item. They enter their their name, the item's name, their estimated fair market value of the item, its description, and any restrictions, like you can see. It's a great and easy way for them to be able to input the item into your system, and then on the back end they're also able to see it within Greater Giving Online, so they can quickly take those items, package them, and get them all ready to sell for the live auction. Keeping in mind during your donation process that if you don't ask someone, you don't know whether or not they will be willing to donate. You never know who's going to say yes to something or who has an item that they're willing to donate. And also, like we're saying here with this easy donation process, make it easy for them to say yes and then be able to take the next step to actually donate the item. It's one thing to actually get the yes, but then be sure that you're immediately following that up with, okay, great, here's our donation form, here's how we're going to go about getting the item from you. Let's set up a time to actually get this, and if needed, you can even, create gift certificates as a donor might need for a specific item.
Absolutely, Tracey. And I think this is one of the most important parts of the procurement process that a lot of people miss. And that's just once you get that yes, making it as easy as possible and as simple as possible for them to actually make the donation. I think Greater Giving has a great setup here for making it, super easy. And if you have, that bidding technology there where you can collect it online, that's probably the easiest, right? But also, if you don't, what we do is we have actually one of our more popular free resources that we offer is our Procurement Packet Starter Kit, which is just a donation letter template and a donor form that you can download and use. And what you want to do is arm your procurement team with tons of copies of these, right? And they should be leaving a copy of the donation letter and donor form at each and every donor that they visit, right? So even if they don't say yes right then, they have the contact information and the ability to make the donation even after they leave, right? And like Tracey mentioned, you want to make it so easy that you will come pick up the item when they decide to make the donation. Don't ask them to come deliver the item to you. There's just so much about this process that should be painless and really fun for them to make the donation, right? Because that's what's going to keep them coming back and making donations time and time again. So if you want to download this free resource, it's out there. You can go to u.winspireme.com/starter kit. Again, a donor letter form and a donor letter form and a donation form for you guys. So definitely check those out. Awesome. Next up, tracking items and packages. Tracey has some fabulous information on this.
Yeah, so we've already talked a little bit about organization, and organization I think is one of the key words when it comes to procurement for your live auction, especially, is staying organized. When you set out to create this plan, which you definitely need to create a plan and work with your committee, meet frequently with your procurement team. Be sure that, especially as you're getting closer to your cutoff date for your donations for your live auction, that each person on your team knows who they're targeting or what particular items they're targeting, and that they have all of the tools and resources that they need to procure those items. Be sure that, again, you're clear with each member of your team who they are targeting. You'd hate for two members of your procurement team to go both ask the same donor for the same item. That would be very embarrassing. Don't want you to end up in that spot. So definitely be sure that you are clear with your committee members who they're targeting and what items they're targeting. You could use a paper system, of course, but in our digital age, we definitely would suggest using some sort of digital system to help your committee stay organized and stay on top of all of the different items. This can be done in a multitude of different ways, and there are all kinds of great tools. I've seen groups use Google Drive, or you could use a Dropbox, things like that, to keep your team on track and to be clear with everyone who they're targeting, what items they're targeting, and what the status of those individual items are. And again, when you're talking about digital, Greater Giving in our Greater Giving online solution does include the ability to track these items and their donation status, connect different individual donors with the different items, and it's easy and quick for you to see the status of your procurement team, how they're doing, and collect all of the information needed for each of those individual items that are being donated. Before long, as you're getting closer and closer to your auction, you're going to have all of these items, and you're going to want to be sure that you are then grouping them into packages. And keeping in mind that you have a cutoff date for donations. It's key that you can say, this is the drop dead date, and after this date, we need to take these items, create them into really great, fun packages. And that time is usually somewhere in the 3 to 4 weeks before your event time frame, depending on print deadlines and all kinds of things. So keep in mind that you're going to want to have a cutoff date that's clearly stated, both for your committee members and anyone that you're asking for donations, that they know when they need to make their final decision by and when they need to have all of their details into you by.
Let me just...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Go for it.
I just want to say one thing real quick. For those of you who are out there doing everything via paper and you got that auction binder going, because I know there's people out there who still do that, you should be using some form of, collaborative, technology or software to make sure that everyone is looking at the same thing, especially when it comes to strategizing and organizing the items that you're targeting and the items that you've got. Because as Tracey said, you don't want to hit up the same donor twice. And she mentioned Google Drive. I think that's probably one of the best free tools that you can use if you're doing everything via auction binders and paper. Definitely check out Google Drive. You can create spreadsheets that multiple people can collaborate on and see. You can actually see each other typing into the spreadsheet, and that way everyone is looking at the most up-to-date spreadsheet of the items that you're procuring or targeting, and that's kind of like the bare minimum you should be doing. Obviously, Greater Giving has tons of other really cool features, but please do yourself a favor and use some sort of collaborative software to keep yourself organized. It's crucial.
We're talking about taking things digital. One other really cool thing that you can do in advance of your event is build a digital catalog. And it's really easy and quick in Greater Giving online to take your items, build them into packages, and then promote your packages in an auction preview on your event website. One thing that we like to suggest to our clients to do is that you release each individual live auction item slowly over time in advance of your event on social media. So you're going to tweet about them, post about them on Facebook, share some photos of the item, share the description. Then your donors have time to plan in advance of your live auction how much they are planning on spending, how much they're willing to spend on those particular items. And also talk to their friends. Maybe you're auctioning off a trip for 4 to Cancun and it's part of your live auction, and you want to give your guests time to maybe talk with their best friends, come up with some sort of budget for that item, and then come to your event ready to bid and push their bids maybe higher than what they had planned because they're really excited about the packages that you're offering. So building a digital catalog and sharing those items in advance of your live auction can create excitement, and then also can maybe draw in some additional last minute ticket sales for your event.
Absolutely. I think pre-promoting your auction items, especially your live auction items, right? These are big, wow items, the incredible experiences, the local things. These need to be pre-promoted. And social media, if you're not on Facebook, right, everyone else is, and all of your attendees are. So you should be on Facebook publishing these items, saying, hey, look what we just procured for the upcoming event. Come bid on this. And that is really going to prepare people. You're going to prime the pump, is what we like to call it. You're going to prime the pump and get these donors thinking about the auction items prior to the event. And that way, you can imagine, right, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, if they see that, a week before the event or a few days before the event, then the conversation starts between the two of them. Oh my gosh, I've never been to Napa Valley. Wouldn't that be fun? Oh, we can go there, right? Versus no promotion, they walk through the door, and then they're blindsided with the prospect of spending $5,000 on a trip to Napa, and then they're having that hushed conversation at the table, which you know how that can go, right? Depending on moods, right? So make sure the conversation starts earlier, and you do that by getting your auction items out online by either building a digital catalog or posting your items on social media or even in email campaigns to get people aware of what they're going to be looking at when it comes to the auction.
Absolutely. And it can help, we talked about we did that, the struggles of your live auction poll earlier, and one of them definitely was keeping audience attention can be a struggle. And so by promoting your live auction packages in advance of your event, you're going to help eliminate some of the need for that table talk and discussion of people talking about, well, I'm interested in buying this package, are you? And so they know in advance what the potential is for bidding on items, and they can have those discussions prior to attending your event, so their attention is focused on your auctioneer and your MC while the live auction is going on.
Absolutely. Awesome. Great stuff, Tracey. Next up, underwriting. One of my favorite topics because it is one of the most important parts of organizing a lucrative fundraising event, right? For those of you who are unaware, underwriting is the process of going out and finding sponsors or event sponsors or donors to underwrite the cost of various things in your event. Some things that you can have underwritten are, the flowers, the table, the centerpieces, the table linens, the band or entertainment, the lighting, or even the food, right? Then these underwriters get recognized in either the event program or on signage. They can be recognized as sponsors, and typically these are, you're going to target donors that might not have a specific service or product that they can give. A good example would be a law firm, right? No law firm is going to donate a law consultation, but what they can do is still donate to underwrite the cost of various aspects of your event. And this is really important to do because what that ends up doing when you underwrite the cost of things, that means the big money generators, right? The live auction and the fund a need or paddle raise and the silent auction, all the money that's spent there is then going to go directly to the cost. And then people who are sitting at the tables don't have to worry about, hey, my first $100 that I donate is going to go to, buying these beautiful centerpieces, right? So that's a really important piece. One thing that we've found, though, is that a lot of people don't realize is that they can get their live auction items underwritten. This is a huge piece, right? You're going out there, you're trying to get live auction items donated, and you found that there's you don't have the big wow items yet. Well, you can go out and find underwriters for consignment travel packages, right? So you get a Winspire package, right? That's the nonprofit cost is $3,000. You get an underwriter to agree to pay for it. That is a fabulous opportunity for them to see what we like to to speak in terms that they understand, which is a return on investment, because they're going to actually see their investment of $3,000 turn into something much bigger, right? And when you're going out and talking to businesses, you're all of a sudden talking in terms that they understand. Return on investment, right? ROI, that is the business lingo. You're going to talk to them about how their investment, how much they're going to spend on this travel package is going to return for you as an organization. So that example, right, of a $3,000 package, they're going to, right in front of their eyes, is then going to be purchased for $5,000. Their $3,000 turned into $5,000. You can't say the same thing about the flowers or the band or the table linens, right? They're just going to pay for the cost. So this is a great way to solicit donors and talk in terms that they really understand, which is cool. It's also a fabulous way to recognize these underwriters or these donors, because you're in the live auction. This is when you have everyone's attention, and you have the auctioneer up there talking about this incredible travel package, and before he starts the bidding, he can pause and recognize, Mr. and Mrs. Smith in the front row here who donated this fabulous package to Napa Valley. Everyone gives a little round of applause, and then it's off to the races. And it's even multiplied even more when these packages are doubled up or tripled up and they're sold multiple times. Then you're really starting to bring in the bucks. So underwriting travel packages is just a fabulous way to recognize donors, and it really helps you and your procurement team because you're going out there and you're talking to businesses in terms that they understand. You can use that hot button key term, right? ROI. Here's what your ROI on this investment could be if it sells. So definitely a great tool for your procurement team's tool shed. Next up, hiring an auctioneer. This I cannot emphasize enough. And people are starting to come around on this, but hiring a professional benefit auctioneer is going to make all the difference in your event. For those of you who are unaware, benefit auctioneers are a special kind of auctioneer. They're accredited by the National Auctioneers Association with the Benefit Auctioneer Specialist accreditation, I guess you'd call it, right? But these are special auctioneers who know how to go into these events and extract money from the audience. And it's going to make such a difference for you and your event. Sometimes these auctioneers might come with a fee that'll make you think twice, but it will more than make up for their fee if you're dealing with a good auctioneer. It's going to dramatically increase the revenue you generate during both your live auction and your fund and need. A good auctioneer is going to advise you on your live auction packages, what order they should go in. They're going to advise you on the timeline of the event, when to do the fund and need. Those are the two biggest money generators from the night of the auction. So you should have a professional in place who's actually administering it, right? So the best ones are going to work with you. They're going to consult with you prior to the event and help you really construct your auction to make sure it goes well. One of my favorite quotes that I like to say when it comes to having an auctioneer, right, is an investment that exceeds your goals doesn't cost you anything, right? If an auctioneer is going to help you exceed your goal, that investment that you made in that auctioneer doesn't cost you anything because you've exceeded your goals. So it's definitely something to consider for those of you who haven't done so, to definitely think about getting an auctioneer because the good ones will help you not only meet your goal but exceed it. Okay. One thing I've seen out there that pains me to see is these nonprofits who have a certain budget for maybe the entertainment or a band, right? They'll gladly go out and spend $30,000 on a band, but then refuse to get an auctioneer, which doesn't make any sense to me, right? You can get a band that's, $10,000 that's probably just as good, will still bring in those people, right? Get those tickets sold. But with that $40,000 band, when you do that, you might get tickets sold, but you don't have anybody in place to then make up for that $40,000. Get a band that's less expensive, that's still going to play good music, get people going, but then spend the investment to get a professional in there who is going to be able to make up for it and then some, right? Who's going to be able to sell those auction items for twice their retail value, who's going to be able to really administer that fund and need and get people to raise their paddles and donate money, because those are the two biggest money generators during the evening. One thing I like to show people here, right, is this surgeon, right? These auctioneers, these benefit auctioneers, specialists, there's a big difference between them and a regular auctioneer, right? A regular auctioneer goes out and they try to see how much they can get for a particular item, right? Like a cattle or a car. They want to know how much they can get for that item. A benefit auctioneer specialist goes out and they look at the room and they see how much money can I extract from the room. They don't care so much about the items. They know how to sell them, but they think about how much money they can extract from the room as a whole, and they're professionals at it, right? You wouldn't hire a dentist to perform a surgery, right? You would hire a surgeon to do a surgery, and that is why you need to hire a professional benefit auctioneer specialist to do the auctioneering and the fund need during your event. Not to mention the falling flat of hiring a local MC personality. I've seen this so many times and it pains me so much. These are people who are not only auctioneers, they are just people who do well on the mic, right? People who are personable. Those people do not know how to extract money from the room, and it can mean the difference between tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for your cause at the night of the event. I can't tell you how many examples I have of nonprofits who decide one year to skimp on the auctioneer, and they completely do not get their goals. And then they come right back the next year, okay, yes, we need an auctioneer, and then they exceed their goals, right? The auctioneer is such a crucial piece of going and doing these events. Another quote that I like when it comes to auctioneering is, let's see here, I have it in my notes. You think it's expensive to hire a professional, right? Well, try hiring an amateur. That's even more expensive because you're not going to reach the goals that you set out to achieve. So I cannot stress this enough, the importance of hiring a benefit auctioneer.
Absolutely. And this kind of just jumps back to the point that you don't want to lose sight of the fact that your fundraiser is to raise money for your cause. You're not just hosting this event to host a fun party. Your goal should be obviously to raise money for your cause, and you don't want to lose sight of that along the way, and definitely an auctioneer can make a huge impact in making sure that you're hitting those financial goals.
Great. And both Greater Giving and Winspire, we have referral networks across the country of auctioneers that we can put you in touch with in your area. We know auctioneers that'll travel, right, for events. So if you're interested in a referral of getting a benefit auctioneer specialist, you can always go to the National Auctioneers Association website and search for a benefit auctioneer specialist there. But you can also get in touch with either Tracey or I, and we'd be happy to put you in touch with a vetted professional auctioneer. Did you have anything to add there, Tracey?
No, we at Greater Giving, we have a network of partners all over the country that we've worked with for a minimum of 2 or more years. So our auctioneers, we've known and have been working with for quite a long time, and they definitely will help you make the most of your live auction packages and your fund in need, which is very important to meeting your bottom line.
Awesome. Cool. I feel like I went on a little bit of a rant there, but it is so important.
It is. It's an important rant to go on.
Yeah, especially if you spend all this time gathering these live auction items, you need someone who knows how to get up there and sell them. And it's not about, and I want to make one more point, it's not about the value of the items. Everyone gets so tied up in, what's the retail value of these items. Keep in mind that you're at an event where the objective is to raise money. People don't care how much the item costs. If you have someone up there who knows how to communicate the mission, connect the item to your cause, and tell people what it's all about, because then people end up spending the money because they know it's for your cause, right? And then they just get the added benefit of these incredible items and experiences and things. So, it's more about extracting the money than it is about selling the item, and a benefit auctioneer specialist knows that difference.
Oh, so true. Very good point, Ian.
Cool. Let's talk about the live auction order.
Let's do it. So we have another poll we're going to jump into. So how many items should you have in your live auction? That's our next question. So do you think 4 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 12, 13 to 15, or 16 or more? So we're going to launch this poll, and Ian, if you want to watch the results as they're coming in and close it out, I think it's a good question to ask.
Again, the answers are 4 to 6 items, 7 to 9, 10 to 12, 13 to 15 items, or 16 or more items. We have about 60-70%. We're going to close it in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll close it. I'm going to share the results. 7 to 9 items. It's pretty good. What do you think?
I think that's great. I would totally agree. We would definitely say it's kind of a tie between option B and C. So we would definitely say somewhere between 7 and 14 items. There's quite a few different variables that come into play when we're talking about how many items to include in your live auction. So we'll get to that here in just a second. So let's jump into talking about number of items. Ian?
Awesome. You got it?
Yep.
Cool. Yep, and I think with the number of items, it totally depends on the size of your audience and also the amount of time in your schedule. Maybe you can shed a little bit of light on that.
Yeah, Ian, can you close the poll out? I'm still seeing the poll.
Oh, there we go. I'm trying to figure out how to use buttons here.
Yeah, no worries. So when you're talking about the number of items in your live auction, you want to be sure that the items that you're including are the highest value or are the very, very desirable items that your bidders are going to want to see. So I know lots of school auctions across the country, they include a parking spot in their parking lot at the school. It's an item that really is not going to cost the organization any money, but it has a very high value for the donors that are going to be in the room that night. They want that parking spot that's going to allow them to quickly and easily drop off their child at school every morning for the entire school year. I know for me, that would definitely be an item that I would be wanting to bid on. So again, it's very desirable, not a high value. So you want to keep in mind that you have some items of both of high desirability and of high value in your live auction. More items in your live auction does not necessarily mean more money. Don't confuse the two with each other, especially when it comes to your live auction. Focus on better performing items or those that you know are going to do really well within your donor base. Also, focus in on audience fatigue. If you're doing your auction year after year, you want to mix it up. Don't consistently sell the same 6 or 7 live auction packages. See and find different ways that you can mix it up or potentially add some different items into certain packages that you know you're going to get donated year after year. I know it's great to build a relationship with a donor that is willing to donate something year after year, but when possible, try to mix up those items and create new and exciting packages if you're still seeing the same items being donated year over year. And we definitely say somewhere between 7 and 14 items for your live auction. Any other items that you're getting donated, your silent auction has a ton of flexibility in terms of the number of items you're included, the types of items that you have in your silent auction. So whatever doesn't fit in a live auction package, don't throw it by the wayside. Find a way to include it in your silent auction, because like I mentioned, there's tons of flexibility there, and it's a great way to take some of those other items that you're getting donated and find a way to help raise more for your cause using the silent auction. So when we're talking about the order of your live auction, which is really important when you're planning a timeline for your event night, you're going to want to think about your packages. And we always recommend thinking about it like a bell curve. So you're going to start with an item that has a wide appeal. And this is based off of our 15 years of experience working with different live auctions across the country. And a lot of times we're seeing the live auction portion of the evening starting around 7 p.m., give or take. And you want to keep in mind that each item is going to take about 2 to 3 minutes from it being introduced by your MC or auctioneer to the auctioneer then calling sold at the end of it. So items 1 through 3 are going to be the items that have a wide appeal, that are going to be of interest. You're kind of warming up the room a little bit with these first few items. And they are things that, their fair market value is not the highest, but it's definitely going to produce some bidding and some activity for bids in the room. Items 4 through 6, you're going to be mid-range fair market value. They're going to be pretty exciting. Potentially like a group party, I think, is fun to include in that range. Something that's got, we're selling 50 tickets to this at $100 each. Good to include those kind of in that first chunk of your live auction. Then usually somewhere in the middle, we're seeing the special appeal or the fun to need, and that's an entirely different conversation, a very important one to have. But just for tonight, we're going to talk about the live auction. And so after your appeal is over, you still want to have those high fair market value items, really exciting, amazing, unique packages, a great opportunity to sell, something that's a no-risk travel package probably. Then you're going to want to close out the evening with items that, they're not really high value in terms of fair market, but they are going to still generate some bidding, and there's going to be some excitement from your donors in the room. Whenever possible, we definitely suggest selling items multiple times. This is what we call the hidden double. So no one in the room except for your auctioneer and maybe yourself knows this, but a package you have, and that you can sell it twice if it hits a certain value in the room. So the bidding is going. We're going to hit $5,000, and at this point, if we still have 2 competitive bidders going back and forth, we know that we can sell this item twice. And this is another great way that you can use no-risk travel packages, is that they're easy to be able to sell multiple times. Ian, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's one of the main advantages of being able to use no-risk travel, is that you can sell it as many times as you want, right? So, I mean, you can sell a package. If there's enough interest, you can sell it 10 times, which we've actually seen before. We've seen individual packages for 2 people, right? A trip to the Vatican, for example, sell to entire tables, right? And then you're selling group packages, right? So you have a table of 10, and you sell a package 5 times to that one table. So that's where we really start seeing returns on these no-risk travel packages, absolutely. And on another note too, when you're going out and procuring items and you're talking to donors, I mentioned, see if they can donate more than once. That's especially true when you go to maybe restaurants and ask for a dinner. Ask them, say, hey, if we have enough interest in this, can we sell it 2 times during the event? And most often they will say yes. Even if they say no, right? Even if they say no, it's important for you to know the cost of that package, how much it would be for retail. Say, hey, what's the retail cost of this package? Because if you get the bidding high enough, it still might make sense for you to sell it 2 times and pay for that second package if the interest is there, right? The idea here is that if you get the bidding high enough, you get 2 or 3 bidders competing, you're going to stop the bidding and you're going to sell it to all 3 of them, right? That is one of the best ways that you can really start amplifying the revenue that you're generating from your live auction.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic point, Ian. All right, so we've talked about our order. We're good. We've closed our live auction. But what about the order that we're going to sell our packages in? So we've done all this work to procure these great packages, but what order do I sell them in? Positioning items is very important because you want to build the perceived value of items to help maximize bids. So it never fails to be very interesting what items have really high perceived value within certain donor bases. And of course, this is different from organization to organization, but one auction that I know of, they sell a year of cinnamon rolls. You get cinnamon rolls donated once a month for an entire year. Well, it has such perceived value within their donor base that it sells for significantly more than what it's actually worth. Again, same as the parking spot. Those items have really, really high perceived value within the donor base. They're not going to cost you a lot, but you want to keep in mind that these items that have really high perceived value are positioned appropriately within your auction, so you know your donor base is going to be in the room, they're attentive, they're interested, and they are willing to bid high on items that have really high value to them.
Yeah, go ahead, Tracey. Well, I just want to say this is another reason where auctioneers can come into play. They know how to build perceived value, right? That's what they do so well. They're great communicators, right? They know how to paint that picture in the person's mind. You might have your kind of local parking spot examples, but when you're talking about travel experiences especially, right, like I said before, the cost of the package doesn't matter at all. If you can build the perceived value, I mean, that's the reason that Hamilton packages are going for $10,000, even though it costs $5,000. It's because Hamilton is such a hot item. The perceived value is out of this world, and that's why people end up paying so much more for it. And if you can make that connection to the cause, then the perceived value is even greater. So this is such a key point.
Totally. All right, and our final point when it comes to your live auction is that each event is unique. So no matter what, we're sharing kind of our experiences, our best practices that we've both collectively seen at auctions all over the country. But there really are no hard and fast rules when it comes to your live auction. What works well for a private school in Los Angeles is not going to necessarily work the same or as well for some sort of human services organization in New York City. You want to keep in mind your number of attendees when you're thinking about your live auction, your ultimate fundraising goal, and also your auctioneer. They can be a huge factor in determining your live auction, the order in which you're selling items, the number of items that you're selling. So keep in mind that each event is unique, so no matter what, want to follow trusted professionals and, really focus in on meeting your goals and sharing your mission of your organization.
Totally. Yep. Every event's different. It can be, regionally it can be different. Take everything we say with a grain of salt, but this is just what we've seen out there in our experiences. So all great stuff. Awesome. So before we finish out the webinar, we thought it would be great to kind of share some of the top packages that are selling in 2017. We work with thousands of nonprofits across the country, so I thought I'd share what people were reserving and selling the most so far. I've mentioned it a couple times already, but obviously Hamilton Broadway is just a hot item right now. We have a great package, dinner with the cast members, private in-theater meet and greet, Broadway tickets, the whole bit. People are just, like I said, the perceived value is crazy. We might have one, like you said, Tracey, you got to come to Chicago there. We might start building the local Hamilton experiences, but for now, the place to go see Hamilton is in Broadway. Also mentioned during this webinar, right? Havana Highlights, Cuba is just a huge hot item. It's because they just opened it to tourism. A lot of people want to get there now before tourism kind of taints the authenticity of Cuba, which I don't really think it will necessarily, but people definitely have that yearning to get there, be the first ones to get there, right? They want to be the first of their friends to say, oh my gosh, I went to Havana, I went to Cuba, it was amazing. So this has been definitely a hot seller. We have a private tour, Hemingway excursion, and a 4-night stay down there. Definitely check it out. You can see all these at winspireme.com. Third one, Bruno Mars, which has been a little bit surprising to me. Actually, not surprising to me. I'm a big Bruno Mars fan. His most recent album, 24K Magic, World Tour, has just been going crazy. It's sold out everywhere, so you really can't get tickets. But we have access, so we can get you tickets to Madison Square Garden in New York City, fly them out with a 2-night stay. That's just been a tremendously popular item. Also with this, we have Lady Gaga tickets for her World Tour as well. So I don't know how many Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars fans there are out there, but I guarantee you some of your attendees would definitely be interested. Always Napa Valley is such a huge hot seller. This is one of our most recent packages that we built, Healdsburg Elite Retreat, private winery tour, tasting, blending seminar, the whole bit. This is just one of several Napa Valley packages that we have, and there's a reason that we do that, and that's because Napa Valley always sells. I mean, even if your donors have been there before, they usually want to go again, and if they haven't been there before, then I can guarantee you it's at the top of their bucket list. So getting a trip to Napa Valley in your auction is always guaranteed to bring in some money. So definitely check these out at winspireme.com. You can, for those of you who are unaware of consignment and how it works, you reserve it, promote the heck out of it in your event. You don't have to pay a dime. And then if you sell, then you can come purchase however many you sold from us. You get to keep all the proceeds above the package cost. So check it out, winspireme.com, and plenty of contact us to learn more. So with that, let's talk about some of the special offers we promised you here today. I know Tracey has one she wants to share.
Yeah, I do, Ian, and thanks so much. I know those packages look really exciting. I definitely would be bidding on them. So for Greater Giving, our special offer for those of you on the webinar today, we are offering $150 off an event package for new clients. So if you're interested in finding out more, you can take a look at greatergiving.com and review our event package, which includes our 3 most popular solutions: Greater Giving Online, our online payments, and our auction pay solutions. You also obviously have the option to add on online bidding, which gives you the complete ability to run an online auction and also do mobile bidding at your event. So a great opportunity to get yourself some discount on some Greater Giving products that really have helped, our thousands and thousands of clients across the country streamline and run their auctions more efficiently from front to back for many years now. Also, I just want to mention that Ian dropped in the handout section of the toolbar a great infographic from our blog. It's called What Everyone Should Know About Auction Items. It's a great infographic, got some great information there about procurement, creating different categories for your auctions, some of the things that we've talked about today. And if you're interested in getting some more of our free resources, you can visit our resource library, which is at blog.greatergiving.com, and take a look at all of our great articles, our webinars. We have tons of information there, and it's all free to you.
Awesome. Yep, and same with us. Promised you that 400 items. You can take a look. You can download it out of your handout section, the 400 amazing auction item ideas. Check that out. There's some great things to get the juices flowing. Print that out. Bring it to your procurement party that you're going to have. I know you guys are going to just have a blast. Don't go too crazy at that procurement party. Still need to get some work done, right? We also are always coming out with new resources, blog articles at Winspire News. We are also giving away a travel package. We give one away every 3 months. We just had our most recent drawing in March, I believe. Our next one is coming in January. Our next one is coming up on April 1st. We're giving away a $1,200 travel package to one of our blog subscribers. So check that out. Go to u.winspireme.com /giveaway, and or you can just subscribe at blog.winspireme.com. We come out with 2 articles a week. Our writer, Sumi Lau, is just incredible. She's taking all this information that you just heard in this webinar and much, much more, and putting it in really cool bite-sized chunks that get delivered to your inbox. So please subscribe and look at that. And hey, you never know, you might win a trip. So as I said, the 400 amazing auction item ideas are there in the handout section. And lastly, I wanted to announce we have a podcast that we recently started here at Winspire in collaboration with Donation Match. Renee Zhao is the founder of Donation Match there, and Danny Hooper from Danny Hooper Productions. He's one of the best benefit auctioneers. He's in the country, if not the continent. He's a benefit auctioneer specialist. We actually just got done with 2 days of interviews yesterday. We interviewed 10 guests. And 10 more guests. We actually just have 10 new episodes. If you go check out eventswithbenefits.com, you can see those episodes. Just got done interviewing another 10 just outstanding people from all over the industry, thought leaders, everything from bidding technology to, what do you call it? You want to call legal considerations, how to run a raffle, state regulations, all that stuff. So definitely check that out. It's free. Lots of great information on there. So eventswithbenefits.com, or you can check it out on your podcast app and listen to it on your smartphone. So with that, I'd like to thank our guest, Tracey Lorts from Greater Giving. You can see her contact information up there, as well as mine, our emails. Feel free to reach out. If you have any questions about this webinar or anything else, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you, Tracey.
Yeah, thank you, Ian.
Awesome. With that, let's move into the questions, and we're just going to spend about 10 to 20 minutes here on some questions. So feel free to stick around. For those of you who can't, don't worry. We'll be sending out a recording of this probably by tomorrow morning. But let's get into some questions here. I'm going to kind of bring out the question pane. Awesome. Got some good ones. Let's see here, Tracey. For those who get started in the process late, like 0 to 3 months, what are the must-dos for procurement? How can nonprofits make it as painless as possible when time is not available?
Oh, wow. Well, I would definitely say if you're getting started, 0 to 3 months out, I would definitely suggest being sure that you have a good system in place, so you're organized, you're going at it. I mean, obviously you're going to have to attack full force ahead, so having an organized system, a good team of people, and a good communication amongst that team would definitely help you out in that process if you're that close to your event. And then, I mean, I would definitely say if you're that close, definitely consider underwriting as a great option to get yourself some good, exciting no-risk travel packages to include in your auction. What about you, Ian?
Totally. I mean, I would say, if you're within 3 months, you should be doing everything you can to get items procured and make it as easy as possible, of course. But consignment packages would definitely be a good route. There's also, it's not just consignment travel out there. You can get consignment autograph memorabilia that you can use in your event as well. But definitely got to get creative with that, right? Bundling items, getting gift certificates, and I would just be hitting up your board and your key constituents. Let them know that hit the red alarm button and say, hey, we are behind, we need help. And if you put out the help signal, hopefully there's people who care about your cause enough that they're going to come to the rescue there. So definitely be hitting up the key constituents in your organization to get the ball rolling on procurement. And then at the nth hour, you can always get some consignment packages. You can reserve a travel package the day of the event if it comes down to it, and still use it. So definitely important to consider. Next up, what do you do if someone wants to donate a not so great auction item? Do you have to put it in the auction? That was a great question. What do you think, Tracey?
I think it's one of those things that is, it's so situational. It depends a lot on who the donor is, what your organization's relationship is with that particular donor. I think one of the key things that keep in mind is if you could take the not so great item and package it with some other things that could build a really great auction package. That's one way to kind of get around it and avoid its not so great status. We have a great article on our blog that I was actually just looking at this morning, and it's all about, okay, someone donated 50 Barbie dolls to my auction. What do I do with them? Okay, what would you do in that situation? So our great suggestion there is to take something that's not so great, take those Barbie dolls and divide them up and build some really cool kids' birthday parties, and include a cake from a local bakery, and include a visit from a Barbie impersonator. Then you've taken this not so great item and packaged it with some other items to really make it a unique experience. So you're taking it outside of just itself and building other things around it.
I love it. That's actually great. That's a great suggestion, Tracey. Another thing that you can do with items too is if they won't sell in the silent auction, you can use them as door prizes. Sometimes silly door prizes. I've seen just like silly, wacky rings or like hats and stuff that people get as prizes, and just for doing certain things, right? As first person to buy this many tickets or whatever. During the event, gets a door prize, and you don't know what that might be, but then you unveil it, and it's this silly thing, and everyone laughs. But hey, it's raising money, right? So there's many ways that you can use it, but I know it can be a little bit delicate because the donors want to see their items in the event. So
yeah, and that's what I was going to say, Ian, too, is that you do want to be careful that you're not offending the donor along the way, that they know that if they've donated an item and they had the expectation that it was going to be included in a live auction package, that you do take the time to communicate with them in advance of the event, because the last thing you want is them showing up on event night and having it not be included, or have it be not included in the way that they originally anticipated it would be. So if it's something that you don't feel has as high of a value as the donor does, be sure that you have that conversation with them well in advance of the event.
Cool. Love it. Keep those lines of communication open. This one is from Arlene Wedstead. How soon would you start pre-promoting live auction items? What do you think, Tracey?
I would say that, I love to see it happening kind of like slowly over time. So if your event, I would say maybe, 3 weeks out, because I would definitely say by 3 weeks in advance of your event, all those live auction items are definitely locked into place by then. So I would just do a slow drip and maybe release one every couple of days, so that you're continuing to build excitement. Your auction's on the front of mind for those people that are following you on social media, and they're seeing the interest build over time for those packages.
Totally. Yeah, I would say you don't want to start way too early before people are even thinking about the event. You want to wait until people maybe have gotten their invites, they have it in their calendar, and they're thinking about it, right? Which usually happens between 1 to 2 months out. But you can also post on social media. It's always good if you're always looking for stuff to post on social media, because it's good to be active there. As soon as you get it procured, say, hey, check out this new item we just got procured, donated from so and so. You can tag them. Just start to build that excitement around it, and then as the event gets closer, you can repost it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Arlene. This one's from Terry Terrazino. Where do we go for a professional auctioneer? So I mentioned before, you can absolutely get a accredited benefit auctioneer specialist by going to the National Auctioneers Association. That was a mouthful. And you can just Google that, or you can get in touch with Tracey or I. We would love to put you in touch with an auctioneer in your area, or just one that we recommend. So it's a great way to do it. Another question from Terry. I was told by an auctioneer that a good auctioneer does not charge for their services. How much would I expect to pay if they do charge? Do you have anything to say there, Tracey? I can take it if you don't.
I'll just say that it just really depends on where you're located in the country, and then also the experience level of the auctioneer, and I'll just leave it there, I think.
Totally. I think, look, at a good auctioneer, whoever may have said that, right, does not charge for their services. The best auctioneers are going to charge for their services because they're professionals, right? And that's how they make a living. They do it day in and day out, and you're not just getting the hour or so that they're on the mic. You're getting their consulting services. They're going to work with you on the event. They're going to work with you on the timeline. They're going to, because they want it to be just as successful as you are. But the best auctioneers, they might not make any guarantees, but they're going to show you a track record of, hey, this is the goals that we've set for previous nonprofits at their events, and this is what I've been able to do. And so, take their feet, like whenever they tell you how much it's going to be, ask them for referrals. Go talk to previous organizations they've worked with. Go find out what their track record is like, and then you can get a really good sense of what you can expect. So, auctioneers out there will tell you, that they what they're able to accomplish, and definitely do your due diligence. But anyone who's an accredited benefit auctioneer specialist has gone through the course, they've taken the time, they're well worth the investment. But as far as how much, that can totally vary from auctioneer. So absolutely get in touch with them. This one, thank you for that, Terry. This one from Stephanie Brusette. What does same question. What does a professional auctioneer usually cost? I'd say go and inquire with several auctioneers in your area, and just kind of do some price comparison. But again, ask for their track record. Next question from Joseph Bergner. You mentioned the number of items depends on audience size. Can you elaborate on this? We typically have about 250 to 300 attendees. What do you think about that, Tracey?
Yeah, well, I would say that within that 250 to 300 range. I would say that's pretty average in terms of number of attendees of the types of events that Greater Giving is involved with and sees. So I would definitely say that would fit within the 7 to 14 range. Maybe on the higher end. It just really depends a lot on the quality of the live auction packages that you're selling. Totally. I think that's a key factor to keep in mind is, you could sell 15 packages, but maybe 4 or 5 of them are items that don't have a lot of perceived value within your donor base, so they're not going to build any enthusiasm or excitement for your live auction. So it would probably be, in that situation, better to cut down. I think audience size, but then also keeping in mind the items that you're actually selling is really important to keep those two things in a side-by-side kind of comparison as you're deciding what to include in terms of number.
Absolutely. And the last thing you want is for an auction item to completely fall flat. And so I would actually have a bare minimum in terms of like what the value that you want to put in your live auction. And keep in mind, right, the live auction is not for your entire audience of 250 to 300. It is for your top tier of spenders, right? Which is probably less than a third of the audience, probably more like a fifth of the audience. The top fifth of the audience is what the live auction items are for. So, because it's a spectacle, right? Everyone else who's there may be watching, but it's an entertainment. They want to see, wow, I can't believe people are spending this much money on this stuff. It's cool for them to watch too, but you want to make sure that the items that you have in your live auction are catered to those big spenders. And you don't devalue that with items that should be in the live auction, right? Another key important point to consider is your timeline, right? If you have 15 items, but you're getting close to 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and your live auction is just starting out, you need to cut some of those items out, right, and put them in your silent auction. Because if it gets too late, people start to get tired, and then the problem starts compounding, right? So make sure not only do you keep your timeline in check, and you make sure you start your live auction usually around like 7 or 8 o'clock, but make sure that you don't have too many items where it draws out, and you have an auctioneer who knows how to keep that pacing. Somebody who doesn't is going to let those 15 items draw out for an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is way too long for your live auction. It should be contained within an hour to an hour and a half at most. So timeline is just as important as when you're thinking about the number of items. Thanks for that, Joseph. This one's from Dale Fran. Do you have a recommendation for the best online auction tool? We have one item valued at over $5,000 as part of a fundraiser for a documentary. Do you guys have an online auction portal, correct?
Yeah, we do.
Tracey?
Yes, we do offer online auctions, so definitely take a look at greatergiving.com. We'd love to help you out with that.
Awesome. Let's see. Got a few more.
There are a few more that we want to get to because I know we're 12 minutes past 11.
12 minutes past. What is better, more silent and less live auction items, or less silent and more live auctions? Definitely more silent auctions items than live auction items. You want just a few live auction items that are very impactful, and then have plenty of silent auction items. Let's see.
Oh, I see a good question here from Gail. Should you change up your auctioneer after so many years? I think that's a great question, Gail. I would definitely say that it depends on who the auctioneer is, your relationship with them, how well they're getting to know your donor base, because I would personally say that over time your auctioneer is going to get to know the donors that are coming back to your event year after year. So I would say that it's probably best to keep them as long as you're happy and they're happy and you're still seeing them being worth their investment. Would you agree with that, Ian?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, if it's okay to mix it up, but just know, I mean, when you're venturing out, right, you just have to be prepared. It might not yield the same results, but if it's something that's kind of tired, been there, done that, I'm always down for trying something new. Let's see here. One question that's from Kim Goodman. For packages that are offered by Winspire, is there a lot of flexibility on the dates that can be redeemed? Absolutely. That's one of the biggest benefits of consignment travel, is they can redeem whenever they want, right? So that's one of the hardest parts about creating travel packages yourself, is that to buy an airline item, you have to pick a specific date. But with consignment travel packages, they can travel anytime they want to any of those hotels. It's all included within the package. So a huge part of that, and they have up to a year to redeem their travel package. Did you see any other ones you want to answer in here, Tracey?
Yeah, I just saw one from Diane that says, should all auction items have expiration dates, and where do you disclose this? I think that's a great question, Diane. I would definitely say if the donor of the auction item doesn't include an expiration date for a package, that you should definitely include one. And I usually say it should probably be 2 years from your auction if it's something that they did not include an expiration on. And I would say that you should disclose this in your auction program book if you have one that's printed. And then also if you're doing some sort of PowerPoint presentation during your live auction, that it's also included as a bullet point that all of the audience members can see, because it's always important to know, especially when it comes to a travel package, to know how long you have to use that item.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, restrictions and things should be clearly stated so donors know what they're getting into. Here's an interesting one from Elba. It seems like it's pulling teeth asking my team to procure. They mostly like to decorate. Surprise, surprise. Most committees do. How do we energize and encourage our committee members to take action? One thing I've talked about with teams is to actually incentivize their teams, right? Give them incentives for the most items procured, right? You can do gift certificates, are super easy. If your problem is energizing the team, then it is worth an investment, right? Just a couple $100, you can buy up to 20 gift certificates, right? Or 10 to 20 gift certificates, and use that to incentivize the team, to local restaurants, Dave & Buster's, Target, things like Starbucks. Start to use incentives to get that team energized. Did you have a tip for that?
Yeah, I would say it depends a lot on the members of your team. Sometimes, I just did a webinar all about millennials and using the power of millennials for your organization. So I would say that if you have a bunch of millennials that are maybe on your auction committee, that you use shout outs in social media, sometimes those can go really far, and it's something that is no cost to your organization, really. If you have someone who's going above and beyond to help you with getting items, giving them a quick shout out on social media can be really beneficial to them. And you never know how far something like that could go.
Awesome. Cool. And I've seen a couple more questions about Winspire travel packages. One about just the starting price. We usually recommend starting the starting bid at 20% over the package cost, right? So if it's a $3,000 package, starting at $3,600, because then you're guaranteed a solid margin, right? At least $600, and then anything as you're going to make, and then anything above that, right, is just extra cheddar. But yeah, 20% is a good starting cost. If any of you have any more information or questions about Winspire travel packages, how it works, how to reserve, how to use it in your event, definitely shoot me an email, or you can go to our website and contact us there, or create your own suitcase and start packing and playing around with it. Definitely check that out for your next event. Was there any other questions you want to get to? It looks like people are still rolling them in here.
I know there's tons of good questions. I wish I had so much more time to answer all of these great questions,
Right.
Dan. Do you encourage people to use visual aids like PowerPoints presentations to go along with your live auction? Yeah, I definitely would encourage that, Fallon. It's key to help keep all of your guests in the room focused on the live auction while it's taking place. That, side table conversation can be really distracting, and so having a visual aid to know exactly what's going to be included in a package that's being auctioned off can be really beneficial in the long run. So I would definitely say yes, please use some sort of visual aid to keep everyone on track in terms of where you are in your.
I think it's actually one of the most crucial things. If it's not that hard to get a screen, right? Most venues actually already have them built in, but you can rent them for relatively cheap, and renting a projector is pretty cheap at a local college. You can rent them for super cheap, but visual aids are so crucial, right? We talked about building that perceived value and painting that picture in their mind. Well, pictures paint 1,000 words, and with every single one of our travel packages, we give you 10 photos and a full description, a poster that you can print out at FedEx. We encourage all of our customers to do that, but even more impactful is going to have a PowerPoint that automatically slides through a few photos from the package, where it's going to really start to paint that picture and build that perceived value. So visual aids are huge, and especially for your live auction items, show people what they're going to be getting. That's huge. So definitely recommend that. Let's see. Multiple different, let's see. Any other ones in there?
Yeah, well, Donna, I think you have a fantastic question, and I feel for you. So she says that we have a few people every year who call us to ask if they can get their winning items expiration date extended. Any hints for avoiding that they negotiate with the item donors, but sometimes it gets sticky. How can you encourage people to use their winnings in a timely manner? The only suggestion I have here, I feel your pain, Donna.
For sure.
The only suggestion that I have is just, at some point, every couple of months, set a reminder for yourself or for someone on your team to reach out to those winning bidders and remind them. Check in every once in a while, because I completely understand how quickly something like that could get forgotten or they lose track, and all of a sudden the expiration is in a month. So I would just suggest setting yourself up to be proactive, to reach out to those winning bidders and follow up with them every once in a while to check in. And it's also good to do, after someone's used a package, to check in with them and see how it was and how they enjoyed it. And then it's a great way to learn whether or not it's something that you should potentially be including again next year.
Absolutely. And yeah, as with any of these, right, you can always do a positive spin on it. Use it as an excuse to follow up with your key constituents, with your donors, right? You're following up with them to, hey, remember this package you bought? Definitely want to use it. Want to inform you about what your donation has been helping with. Thank you again so much for your donation. Thank you. So much of this is about corresponding with your donors and thanking them. Just use it as another excuse to get in touch with them. And exactly like Tracey said, one thing that we always encourage our nonprofits is to follow up post-travel to let them, to see how their experience was and use that as research for your following events. I love it. Great tip.
Anna asked, does Greater Giving have a webinar on how to charge cards with our equipment? Yeah, and we have an amazing training website. So if you just go to greatergiving.com/training, you can take a look and view either on-demand or in-person webinars to find out about how to utilize all of our products for your event night. So yes, tons of great resources at greatergiving.com/training.
Awesome. Let's do 2 more questions and we'll call it good. One from Shannon Dietz. Or Dietz, excuse me if I butchered that. What if I'm in an area that is not a huge metro area, city size about 75,000? What do you use to gauge the price point for items to have a successful and profitable live auction? Look, it totally depends on the audience and the giving power in the room varies so much from event to event, but it's so often that we underestimate the giving power in the room, right? So don't underestimate. What you can do is figure out who your biggest spenders are. Remember, the live auction should be geared towards the top 5th, right, or top 4th of your audience, and find out who those people are. Find out what they want to bid on, find out what they're interested in, and then cater the live auction to those people. Since you're only talking about a 5th of the audience, you don't have to find out what everybody wants. You should be catering the live auction to those folks, and then once you start to have those conversations, you'll really get an understanding for what their spending capacity is. And don't be shy about asking them how much they plan on spending, right? This is a fundraiser. You know that they're coming to spend money, so tell them, look, we want to build this live auction for you, and so ask them, how much do you plan on spending at the event? Let us cater this event to you, and then that'll give you an idea of the price points that you should be doing. Thank you for that, Shannon. Awesome. Let's see. For special experiences, let's see. It's possible to extend the stay. Any other of those that you want to hit, Tracey?
Gosh, there's so many questions. I'm trying to look back to just make sure that if there were any.
Yeah. If we didn't get to your question, please don't hesitate to shoot us an email. We'd be happy to follow up with you one-on-one. Our emails are right there. Don't hesitate to shoot us an email. But I think we should probably call it here. I know I don't want to keep everyone all day. So
yeah, I agree. It's one of those things we could talk about this for hours, Ian.
We could.
We could,
yeah.
But we probably should cut it off. Unfortunately.
Awesome. No, well, yeah, I just want to thank you again, Tracey. It was, as always, it's a pleasure working with you on these things. And for those of you out there, thank you so much for joining us here today. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to either Tracey or I with questions, or both of us, at the same time. And we'd be happy to get back to you on this. But thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you, everyone on the call, and thank you, Ian.
Awesome, guys. Cool. Look out for more webinars coming up from both Greater Giving and Winspire. With that, I want to thank you guys once again for joining us here today, and hopefully we'll see you next time.